All right, here we are.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm fine. How are you?
I was born in Charlottesville, Virginia, but I don't really remember any of that. I think we moved when I was about two and a half or three to Tacoma, Washington, right outside of Seattle.
Really?
Yeah, and so most of my earliest memories are in Seattle. And like I remember, like they didn't have any poisonous snakes there, so we used to like catch snakes as kids or
Oh,
whatever,
that's
like
cool.
garden snakes and shit. Um, and yeah, so that's when I went to Seattle, like back in 2015. It was kind of like returning to childhood, or some of my earliest memories or whatever. Yeah, well, not Seattle proper, but a half an hour away, like
Yeah.
Matthews is to Charlotte or something.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit farther. When my family moved to North Carolina,
Uh-huh.
we drove across the country and we stopped at a bunch of like different from Tacoma, Washington.
Yeah.
So we stopped at a bunch of different landmarks and stuff like that. Like I saw Crater Lake.
Oh,
And,
cool.
yeah, Crater Lake is really beautiful. It's an old volcano that's
Yeah.
filled in, and it's like really clear water. And,
So is it all blue, like turquoise blue?
yeah, totally,
Oh,
totally.
that's so cool.
And the walk to get there, is like up this volcano. So they had like little like as rivers, all kinds of neat stuff. We also went to see the Old Faithful and there's some other geyser or something like that. We went through Redwood Forest, and I remember like when I first moved to North Carolina. I guess I was about like 10, or no, probably about like 8 or 9
Oh,
or
yeah?
something like that. Yeah, and like I remember thinking the trees here were just like jokes.
That's so cool.
Yeah, the best thing about Seattle these days is the legal weed because it was so great. It's like I just go to the store and like they'd be like, "How may I help you?" And it's like, "Well, I only have $10 and I need a high THC level indica, but we have a 9 pound hammer for $7 a gram." I said, "I'll try a gram of that." 9 pound hammer knocked me the fuck out. But I mean, I tried to like a different one almost every time I went to the store. Because there's all these different brands or strains or whatever, yeah, indicas and sativas and hybrids, and then you got CBDs and then they all have like these names like green crack. It's supposed to be like it's supposed to wake you up
Oh
and
my
make you
God.
feel weird and creative or whatever. And Dutch Treat is one of the hybrids. It's supposed to be like a real pleasant mix of the sativa and the indica is really popular. Um, I can't do like I don't know, like deep space or stuff like that. Yeah, it's the name of one of the weeds or whatever.
Wow.
You got your indica, I mean your kush and all that shit. It's amazing. But I mean, like I could always scrape up $5 for a joint or whatever. Like on a day if I had. Because I got a job there, pretty soon or whatever when I first got there. Like I'd gone there with a guitarist, that it was his idea.
Oh,
He wanted to, try and make it big in Hollywood.
Uh-huh.
And so, I was like 43 and he was like 26 or something like that. And I was like, why Hollywood? Oh, this seems so plastic to me. It's like, what about like going to Seattle? And he's like, oh my God, Kurt Cobain's from Seattle. And, he worshiped Kurt Cobain. So yeah. No, he worshipped Kurt Cobain. So he was like, okay, Seattle, Or, we just went across the country and we played in like different, bars and stuff like that on the way there. Like not a legitimate tour, but, we stopped at like open mics and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool. And did you get paid for any of that?
Not really. We made some money like when we got to Arizona. We kind of met up with this biker gang that like invited us to their potluck, celebration or whatever. I guess it was like a Sunday or something.
Yeah.
And hanging out with them, it came up that we were musicians or whatever. And they like, oh, play for us. So we played for this biker gang or whatever. Actually, I sat that one out because I was a little too nervous about like just how strange my type of music is or whatever. And so just I let him just play guitar and do his stuff.
Yeah.
They loved it, and they paid us like like $60.
Oh, that's cool.
And we had a bunch of paid our bar tabs and stuff like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah.
Buy a lot of weed that way.
Yeah. Well, when we got to California, actually, it was kind of funny. It was almost like we could not have planned it better. We crossed over the border into California at 4:20, and you couldn't, if you tried to do that, it would probably be hard, impossible or whatever.
Impossible.
But that's exactly, it's 4:20 when we crossed into California. It's like, oh my god. I mean, I've been a cigarette smoker since I was 13. Because I thought it was kind of cool and sexy and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah. I started smoking when I was really young. And gosh, I tried marijuana when I was 13 too. So.
Did you try them both at the same time? Like
No,
around
no.
the same time period?
I smoked cigarettes. Like I snuck a few cigarettes. Actually, I guess I thought they were sexy because I remember like watching a Richard Gere movie, and I think I probably started doing that when I was like 11 actually, and smoking a cigarette and thinking I was a bad boy, and it was like,
oh, that's so cool.
It was so bad.
Badass.
Yeah,
I'm such a badass.
Yeah. That was after sex. I don't think I'm not a sex addict or anything, but I mean, I don't know. So if you need to smoke pot, keep smoking it until you feel it. And then when I did feel it, all of a sudden,
like the volume, that one. Okay, that's cool.
When I did feel it, all of a sudden, it was like so intense. As a 13-year-old, I thought that it was going to last like really short, And I said, "Oh, I feel it. How long am I going to feel like this?" They said about an hour. And all of a sudden, an hour was too long. I wanted it to stop. I was like, but everything was like cartoon-like or whatever. And music would sound underwater. Yeah. Like here's something would be like, it sounded like it was bubbles or something. It was like weird, music sounded great on LSD. It sounded really good. But, I mean, like, it didn't change necessarily. It just, it just sounded so good. Like, I would get lost in it, and I'd making music was like one of the fun things too, because acid gave me I would stay awake stay awake at night tripping, and just start playing with like recording stuff or whatever, and so that was like always really fun. It's what led me into like my basement tape recordings and stuff like that, and I guess taking the acid or whatever was probably one of the reasons that kind of veered me into the experimental and the psychedelic and strange, So, because I mean, I've been doing that since I started. It's always been weird, because I grew up with like listening to weird music. I had already like decided that I wanted to try it because some other guys that I had some friends I'd made that were older that I liked a lot. I'd asked them what their favorite drug was, and they were talking about acid and how much fun it was, So, at first I was shocked that they wanted something like I thought of it as such a heavy drug compared to like marijuana or whatever. That I was like, really acid, but I went ahead and tried it, and it was at a party where I did like a quarter of a hit or something, and I didn't really feel it, or I didn't think I felt it or whatever, and my friend who took me to the party got in a fight. Mother Craig got in a fight. Yeah. I ended up having to like kind of help him with the fight. Anyway, the evening was strange, and I didn't know what to think of it. But then when I got home, like the next morning, I looked out the window and I just saw the like blades of grass quivering in the wind and stuff, and the sun was hitting it, and it was just so beautiful, and it like totally changed my outlook on life. Right. Like it was like an epiphany or whatever that where I was like, oh my God, I could live with the color green, and like why have I been depressed, and why was I cutting myself and feeling trapped in my body and stuff like that, and when like life is so amazing and beautiful and magical that the color green exists and that the sunlight exists, and that I'm here on the planet, and it just revolutionized my feelings or whatever towards life, like fascinated and happy with life, and excited about how magical everything was. I'm content to be complacent. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of my songs starts out with "Never mix, never worry, break a bottle in a hurry."
That's right.
Because I remember like I don't know. I tried to experiment like where I went to work and had a beer, and my job at the time was in a sports bar, pizzeria kind of place, and I had a drink or whatever, and I was just like all chatty with the customers and like telling them what they should order, and sitting down at the table next to them and like writing down their order and stuff like that. Just all comfortable.
Yeah.
I tried smoking some pot, and I didn't even want to ask the customers like if they wanted any tea or anything. I didn't want to tell them. It was like totally opposite or whatever,
Yeah.
like antisocial or whatever. The antisocial waiter, better than a sarcastic waiter. Yoko Ono was having a smart cocktail with James Baldwin, and Yoko said, "The food here is horrible, but the waiter's hilarious." No, the more I did it, I would say magical for years or whatever. But I basically there was a point where after a few trips that I knew I had learned everything it had to teach me, and I was just doing it for fun. And a good friend of mine at the time, Elisa, I remember her telling me that she was like, I think I've learned everything that acid has to teach me. I'm going to quit doing it. And I remember saying, I feel the same way, but I'm going to keep doing it. And I figured that would be like a good case study, And sure enough, she became an ethnomusicologist and went to Bali and married a guy from California that his parents were from India, and she's done all this world traveling tour. She just got back from a West Coast tour, and I still have my dad help me with my rent.
That's okay.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, I haven't been, it's like she's, hey kids, once you've learned everything LSD has to teach you, quit doing it.
Yeah.
I've often told people how to feel like you're 15 forever, just, stay living with your parents. Hey dad, can I borrow the car? So I still always feel 15, and then, and you're just 15 years old for the rest of your life, which, maybe I will be, but at the same time, I didn't feel any different at 15 than I did at 14, or not much different, maybe there were some years or decades of where I doubted the things I had believed when I was 11 and 12 or whatever. But then as I've gotten older, it's it seems like I've come back around and well, maybe I was right back then, but always evolving and stuff. So we are.
Yeah.
But once when I was younger, when I was 7 or 8, I thought when I turned 10, I'd be a different person. And I'm sure I was, quite different at 10 than I was at 15, at 7. But when I turned from 9 to 10, it's I was the same person. There's no magical change or anything. And I was maybe it's when I turned 13, because that's when I'm a teenager, and I'm sure I was totally different at 13 than I was when I was 10. But since there was no abrupt noticeable change, it was oh my God, I got really depressed, and it was I'm gonna be me forever, I was I know. I remember sneaking back into my parents' house when I was 17, sneaking into my bedroom at night, and I saw moonlight hitting the window. It's coming in through the window, and it was on the wall, and it looked like a pyramid, sort of. And as it glowed, I was on LSD, and as it started glowing, I felt like I knew that if I just reached out, that I could go into another world, that other world that I was always looking for when I was a kid.
Yes.
And so I was about to reach out to go into that other world, but then I thought to myself, I had this thought what if I reach out and just touch a wall? Then the illusion would be shattered or whatever. So I decided not to reach out. I just sit there and stared at the opening to another world, which was actually just, and I knew it was just moonlight coming into the window, but it was so much more. It was it was vibrant colors and all that, and way before I did drugs, as a kid or whatever. I mean, going back to the wanting to thinking I was to be a different person. I remember thinking there would be a magical world, but just as I'd walk through the woods, I mean, I'd cross through I knew, I was thinking that one day I'd move a branch and there would be a unicorn or I think I'm such a firm believer in the power of the brain and the power of the mind, psychology or whatever, that I realized that, my mind can change, events, timelines and stuff in my head. Memories can be wrong and experiences can be could be different than they, seemed or whatever,
Right.
But and so I mean that's why I don't, I don't believe in aliens, but I do believe that people are having strange experiences in their mind, and it might as well be true for it's true
For
for
them, yeah.
I'm addicted to guilt. Make sure you mention that in the interview. I sat down. I sat down and crossed my legs to bed. You didn't know you were in for a fag thing, and I didn't really even mean it in a derogatory.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I mean, on meth, I started having audio hallucinations. Like, I went to work one day and I heard somebody say Joseph, and I turned around and there was like nobody within 100 feet of me. Yeah, and I was like, yes, Jesus. And I'm lucky because I'm not in pain. Yeah, that wouldn't be the message. I mean, we all have addictions or whatever, whether it's to food or to sex or to whatever. We need food and water to live and stuff like that. But I would like my message to be more about I guess how how music can be a drug or whatever, and pleasurable effects of recording. I think anybody reading the article or reading the interview, hopefully somehow you can work it into about like the home talk about like my home recordings or whatever, and how cool it is, like in the age of selfies and stuff like that that future generations. I highly suggest that they make their own recordings, whether it's video recordings or spoken word, talking video diaries or music or sounds or noises or whatever, because it's so much fun to go back and listen to things from the old time periods and be like, oh yeah, that was back when I was depressed and I used to cut myself, and I thought music was really cool if it was like rocks on cookie sheets, or whatever. And so it's kind of neat to take little pictures of your life or whatever. My life is about like music and being happy and being nice or whatever. I try not to be too judgmental, but there are judgments that have to be made here and there just in life, in order to live. But I'm going to go to school soon. I'm going to try and register and go back to school and major in probably music or stage or something like that.